The single biggest driver of cultural transformation across most organisations in Australia is the need to create a high trust, feedback rich culture. Now, this isn't surprising because in this current era, most organisations recognise that they can't stagnate. If we don't continue to go forward, we're actually going backwards. And that applies at three levels. It applies at an organisational level, it applies at a team level, and it certainly relates to individuals when we start to think about their professional growth, building capabilities that are relevant for the future, and generally acquiring the skills that are relevant for 2025 and beyond. If you're looking at making a similar kind of shift within your organisation, it's worth recognising that the solution to that change has three key components. The first is ensuring that you've got the foundations in place to create a feedback-rich culture. And there's two key elements to this. The first is to ensure that you've got a culture of trust. And the second is one that relates to psychological safety. Now, why is this absolutely important? Because if we don't feel psychologically safe in our teams, when we work cross-functionally across teams, then we're going to have a natural defensive, protective response. We're not going to be open to feedback, and it's going to be very difficult to give feedback to others because they will perceive that we're trying to blame them, that we're trying to exclude them, that we're trying to slow them down in some way. And it's these kinds of unhealthy mindsets and subsequently behaviours that stop many organisations shifting into this high trust, feedback-driven culture that many of us desire. Once we have achieved the foundations, then the next step is to build the capabilities around creating a feedback-rich culture. And there's two elements to this. The first is, how do we give feedback in a way that's going to be received in the way that we intend? And that's everything from understanding the psychology of how people receive feedback, knowing how to position messages so that you can balance being direct with a high level of care, often referred to as radical candor, and making sure that leaders and managers are comfortable with the frameworks and the language that they can use to give effective feedback. The other side of the coin is making sure that everybody across your organisation knows how to receive feedback and is clear on the intention by which feedback is being given. It takes two at the end of the day. The third and the final component to achieve this type of cultural transformation is then about setting up the rhythms and the patterns of behaviour so that people know when to expect they will get feedback. Is it always going to be one-on-one, or may it be in a team environment? Is it only going to be part of an annual performance review, or may it also be part of our weekly or fortnightly one-on-ones? Is it acceptable to give feedback at a peer-to-peer level, or is it only top-down? These are all really important questions that need to be socialised with your team so we can set the expectation and help people understand how feedback will live and breathe within your organisation. We've worked with many businesses who have been able to successfully make this transformation, and the impact is significant, not only in terms of employee engagement, but also the business results that are being achieved. If you would like to transform the culture of your organisation to one that is centred around feedback, a growth mindset and learning with a foundation of trust and psychological safety, please reach out. We would be very happy to share some ideas with you.